Good afternoon. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. I am going to read a poem that is from a book that a dear friend of mine at a certain place recommended to me, even brought me their copy and were willing to let me borrow it for a week, but I just didn't want to take the chance of harming something precious of theirs. And it's a poetry book called The Fact of a Door Frame by Adrienne Rich. And that's the book. And I drew mystery in. I'll show it in just a minute. Well, let me do it now so I don't forget. I've been sick, so that makes me forget even more. Sad mystery is what it is. By and large, my life has been tragic. I'm sad. Witnessing a lot of things that were difficult to explain, and it made me weird to be with and uncomfortable to be with. And I have scarring in my life that is just going to remain as far as spiritually, emotionally, because I was ousted from a large population that have now taken a very drastically bad turn politically, and they're fascists. That's the Republican Party. And simultaneously on another blog, I don't know which one yet, I'm going to be releasing notes, quotes from Across 5 Aprils by Irene Howard. I'm finishing the book. I'm ousting some of my work that has held on to me like, Carrie, you've got to finish it, and I've decided that the reading of what I needed to read in those books has formed itself in me, a new thought. Enough. In other words, particularly with Rudolf Steiner, the philosopher, I was astounded that there were people in the world that could talk a language of spirituality and science which would understand my testimony, but none of them were around me. And so I've had to form myself completely away from my real life, where I was strange, I looked mentally ill, but yet I kept doing, I kept being, I kept appreciating people, and then I just have been walked off of because I'm too hard to be with. And I can understand that side, and I hope they can understand me now. Making coffee. I've been sick to the point of a fever, so going really slow right now. But it really, really does feel like 100% loss of my lifestyle right now. And the thing is that it is actually, as is a lot of times the case, today is my 7th child's birthday. And she's the one named after my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. Excuse me, my paternal grandmother, Era Davis Beaty. And honestly, her life and my life are much the same. And Era, my daughter, is going to be happier being this person I can tell. Why? Because her great-grandmother, her mother, and she are on the same wavelength of spirituality. So it's a bit of a mystery. It's a bit of a mystery. This is Across 5 Aprils by Irene Hunt. Yet again, I buy older books that are library books to say, stop banning books. That is, this book is not discarded. I've left on letters because my grandson, my first grandson's name is the name of the 10-year-old. He started out 10, he's older, of course, by the end of the book. The star of the story, and then I had purchased it right before they named their child, still in the womb. And so that's a sweet story. And then the other sweet story, the last birthday party we were at, and that name, Jethro, is not seen very much, but the gentleman who made his birthday cake was named Jethro too, so that was fun. But you saw me that I drew mystery, because my entire life up to this point has been mystery, and I'm just going to make it non-mystery. It's a new life. And but it's what's a joy to me is that much of what I enjoy doing, some of it is new, like painting little pieces, and some of it is the same, and I'm going back to both. And I'm not going to drop the pleasant parts of my life. I'm a healthy individual, albeit not to many people that have known me. I was just somebody to be rejected. And so I have to accept that rejection and build again. But because of my channeling abilities, I have to stay in a very small place. And if I were to look honestly at my grandmother, she had to do the same thing. She was very evidently, there's a power to us, this particular bloodline, that is quite extreme. And we just don't fit in. And so our lives run concurrent to the population. Some of our lives is normal, and then the rest is not. My grandmother died early, had a hard life. I don't have as hard of a life. I've been labeled overmuch, and people don't have time for me. So it's time to forgive and forget. So something is happening at the end of August of 2024 that is very important. And I'm holding a stance that I will choose, even though I'm pretty sure this is going to be difficult for me emotionally, because it's pretty much, I've said for years, you know, we all have been successful. We all did our best, and I'm going to need to prove it, because I was the only older individual that kept saying that. And I would not tear people down unless I was around people who were determined to tear me down, to prove me wrong, because they were uncomfortable with me, and then I would tend to channel the negativity. So if there was a whole bunch of negativity around me, I would channel it. And then I would take it on as my own and apologize and apologize and apologize. And they had, the psychiatric world has labeled all of that, but you're not looking at the spiritual side of things when the scientific psychiatric world is labeling it. I can tell you from the spiritual side that a lot of times you're not understanding that many of us are channeling. We have giftings that you don't understand and you never will. This society is very deeply oppressive. You have to be reading the correct books to just give it up and understand that. One of them is Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. And our whole society is enveloped with way more white supremacy than anybody is ever going to admit in my lifetime. So that is what we are dealing with. So I am establishing a world that is anti that, certainly, but it is a part of that and only a part of the beautiful universal side of it. And I shut out the wickedness in my living. And I will walk off where I've had to leave this platform of my life. And it is my 3 oldest children who have the safety net of the other world with the 7 others. They have produced, behind the scenes, the world that I testified through, and there with them. I have one more thing to walk off, and that is the structure that had to be built around me because someone in my life erred greatly and was very controlling. And it wasn't just one. My mother started that journey in my life in 1966. It's easy to want to control someone like me. Because boy howdy, when I follow religion, I follow it. I bring success and stuff with my spirituality. And people don't want to let that go. And then they want to call it love and even romantic love. And you can go fuck yourself. I am a woman who teaches you really cannot be seeing each other naked sexually if you don't want the woman to go into shame. Okay? You need to enjoy the sexual act as it is, whomever you are. In a heterosexual marriage, homosexual would probably be the same. All of this site-driven sexuality is costing us the lives of children. Think about it. You know I'm right. Stepping Backward by Adrienne Rich. Goodbye to you whom I shall see tomorrow, next year, and when I'm 50 or 58. Still goodbye. Hold on. I'm gonna do something for myself for once. I'm gonna pour my coffee. Before I start the poem again, I have to back up, excuse me, and tell you something that I have done. I started putting pictures yet again on my refrigerator and I took of our family to remind everyone of our love of each other because it's gotten so negative. But I have to let you know that whenever I do that, I have pain in my spirit. When I am the person that has to remind everybody of the good side because they're all determined to look at only the bad side for whatever their reasons, I have pain in my spirit because I know us as good people. I don't know us as this that's been stripping through my family's life. And I have a very real and painful story of how I had to wrench the chronic wickedness away from my family that cost me my reputation with the state. And I am, again, viewed as mentally ill, and I'm not. This spiritual stuff is real. And what happened to me was real. And I'm a spiritualist like that. And I'm known by my people. Maybe, perhaps some of them have had to go through some of the same things to wrench their families away, or to wrench themselves away from very real spiritual strongholds of ugliness, wickedness. And I've had several, if you want the honest truth, as a sorceress. And so I can hear my ancient self say, Kara, your story will be told. And I'm going to believe that. My real story will be told of how I stood against so much wickedness in my core. This last strange thing that I did was transport back in time into the 1940s. And I went to church with my mother-in-law. And I became a Methodist, and it was like I was going to physically go back to the old Methodist church in Oak Hill, and come to find out they've had a very big break in the Methodist church, which are we not surprised? I want to make it very clear that I do wish everyone in churches, I wish you well. I wept the most in my leaving you. I had a hard time leaving you. I wept the most because I couldn't be a part and do it your way. I really did. And have that stability for my children. But I think the rest of us need to understand that a lot of the large church buildings, beautiful places, they're elitists and they're white supremacists at the core. And so you will be submitting to them their way if you do that lifestyle. You're controlled. Make no mistake, but you also get into the colleges, have the beautiful lives, that you have that. And I'm not saying that we don't need that in the society. I'm saying that all societies need to mend one another, the breaches, and come to peace. We need to do that. And perhaps it will not be in my lifetime. Perhaps it will. I don't know. That is one day at a time. All right. So I am in a mystery place here. And if you can tell, I'm traveling across generations and speaking to you. So that I will continue to do, but from the safety of my own places. I have my own places now, and I worked overtime in many different ways to have the privilege of saying that. So I'm glad I'm here. But I will make that choice. I want my 3 oldest children to know that when the time is right, and the time is right in our lives as the Beaty-Coffey family, I will come to our place of unity. I see you building it in your different places. I see that. And I have for years. And I had confirmation of it in a very small way that I have pointed out to my partner time and again, and he ignores it. He doesn't verbally lash out at me when I remind him that. I've already shared that in videos where my children have managed to have their relationships away from the epiphany of what was happening with their parents. And I was reminded of that again today. It's sad to be a person like my partner that has to ignore the beautiful side of our life, but he, for some reason, has to ignore it. And so I live in two very real different worlds, but yet they're the same world 100% of the time. That has taken its toll on me, but I will do the final walk-off when it is time to do that walk-off. Stepping Backwards by Adrienne Rich. Goodbye to you whom I see tomorrow, next year, and when I'm 50. Still, goodbye. This is the leave we never really take. If you were dead or gone to live in China, the event might draw your stature in my mind. I should be forced to look upon you whole, the way we look upon the things we lose. We see each other daily and in segments. Parting might make us meet anew entire. You asked me once, and I could give you no answer. How far dare we throw off the daily ruse, official treacheries of face and name, have our true identity? I could hazard an answer now, if you are asking still. We are a small and lonely human race, showing no sign of mastering solitude out on this stony planet that we farm. Beaty-Coffey is now mastering solitude, and Adrienne Rich is going to be here with me, helping me. As is all my children, I will not leave them behind, and it is my daughter's birthday, so I came on time yet again to a specific place. The most that we can do for one another is let our blunders and our blind mischances argue a certain brusque, abrupt compassion. I have experienced this so many times. I guess I need to be thankful. I need to be thankful for it. We might as well be truthful. I should say they're luckiest who know they're not unique, but only art or common interchange can teach the kindest truth. Isn't that the truth? Not education, my smart loves. It's not education. And even art can only hint at what disturbed a Melville or calmed a Mailer's frenzy. You and I still look from separate windows every morning upon the same white daylight in the square. And when we come into each other's rooms, once in a while, encumbered and self-conscious, we hover awkwardly above the threshold and usually regret the visit later. Perhaps the harshest fact is only lovers, and once in a while too with the grace of lovers, unlearn that clumsiness of rare intrusion and let each other freely come and go. Most of us shut too quickly into cupboards the margin-scribbled books, the dried geranium, the penny horoscope, letters never mailed. The door may open, but the room is altered, not the same room we look from night and day. It takes a late and slowly blooming wisdom to learn that those we marked infallible are tragic comic stumblers like ourselves. The knowledge breeds reserve. We walk on tiptoe, demanding more than we know how to render. Two-edged discovery hunts us finally down. The human act will make us real again, and then perhaps we come to know each other. Let us return to imperfection's school, no longer wandering after Plato's ghost, seeking the garden where all fruit is flawless. We must at last renounce that ultimate blue and take a walk in other kinds of weather. The sourest apple makes its wry announcement that imperfection has a certain tang. Maybe we shouldn't turn our pockets out to the last crumb or lingering bit of But all we can confess of what we are has in it the defeat of isolation. If not our own, then someone's anyway. So I come back to saying this goodbye, a sort of ceremony of my own, this stepping backward for another glance. Perhaps you'll say we need no ceremony because we know each other, crack and flaw, like two irregular stones that fit together, yet still goodbye because we live by inches and only sometimes see the full dimension. Your stature's one I want to memorize, your whole level of being to impose on any other comers, man or woman. I'd ask them that they carry what they are with your particular bearing as you wear the flaws that make you both yourself and human. So I'm not going to the Methodist Church, and hopefully for a very long while, the world that has rejected me has seen Beaty-Coffey astral project to bring my family together for the last time for a while. And in so doing, I was putting Adrienne Rich's The Fact of a Door Frame on a blog that is more for my poetry, short and inexpert as it is. And I think I'm going to move Adrienne back to uncoverednomore.org. So she will be the poet. My brother's Magamundan will be the coloring. Enoch is getting finished. And Beautiful Here and Now, I have plenty of things that I don't know where they go. So it will be a simple blog of beauty. Poems from some beautiful poets. I have a new mandala that is just strictly coloring, and it's such a beautiful soul healing thing, and it's from Austin. So the people who are making this series are from Austin, so I'm going to get to be privileged to color the first one, some of the first one, maybe all of it. I can't put the regulation of finishing things through and through on myself anymore. It messes with my mentality because I am a realm traveler, and we are always saying goodbye. Adrienne Rich, in her book, in this book, this was very healing when she admitted this in the foreword. In writing poetry, I have known both keen happiness and the worst fear that the walls cannot be broken down, that these words will fail to enter another soul. Dear God, she and I'm the strange kid who has a strange stairwell in a house I don't really want to stay in because of the pain that has been brought forth here yet again. And I'm painting it with a vice presidential nominee that is like American Pie, and his last name is Walls with a Z, which is the Omega side of God and Goddess. So it's my Terra angelic side, who has decided to move a poet that my friend at one of my primary places of fellowship that I have kept going to against all odds because of the spirituality, that the difficulty that was stripping through there, but we've made it finally. And my friend brought me the poetic book that I now am sitting here showing you, and I'm moving her to my main, and I'm gonna make room for this book because it's glorious. And And so she's a Jewess, you see. And I'm a Gentile, you see. The poems in this book were written by a woman growing up. Again, this is the foreword. The poems in this book were written by a woman growing up and living in the fatherland of the United States of North America. One task for the 19th or 20-year-old poet who wrote the earliest poems here was to learn that she was neither unique nor universal, but a person in history, a woman and not a man, a white and also Jewish inheritor of a particular Western consciousness. Her Western consciousness is not the same as mine, but we're both white. And she has fears as I do. And my fears are realized. My voice is only mine because I made it so. Because I keep ministering how this country, how this world needs to hear some of us that are the nobodies. She had a certain amount of fame. I have none. So she found me, not the other way around, through my friend who is a white male, older man. And a friend. So that is my other life. Some of my children have been to where I'm talking about on the sly. In other words, I don't know it because they can't do that with me because of my gifting abilities and needing to protect me from the other side of my life that was after me, denigrated me, and tore me down. And Across 5 Aprils has that, just like we have it right now in this political battle going on in 2024 before an election. Just like the world wars, just like the Civil War, which Across 5 Aprils is about. So, sad mystery, the defining of wickedness and goodness. So it is the right thing for me to move Adrienne Rich back to uncoverednomore.org. With Enoch, with my brothers. Indeed, the paper in this book is much the same as the Megamundin coloring book that my brother is my brother's. But Kara, he's dead. Aren't we all, my dears? Our religion, our politics, everything has killed us, my dears. We have lost our way. I already read Guillotine, my poem. So this blog article, opening back up to Uncover No More. I will picture it and then type it out. So it's a shorty. In stepping backward, what I wrote, it takes a late and slowly blooming wisdom to learn that those we marked infallible are tragic comic stumblers like ourselves. That's universalism, my loves. This is Beaty-Coffey with the ministry.